Welcome back to White Mountains Livestock. In this episode, we're going to discuss pig breeding. I've seen a lot of questions online about it. We're going to answer those right now. Welcome back to White Mountains Livestock. Like I said in the intro, in this episode, we're going to discuss pig breeding and all those cool little crazy things that go along with it. So, how this video come about is last night we got home and I was just poking around on the internet and I seen a bunch of questions about breeding pigs. Or better, hogs. So, I figured, I'd just take a little bit of time today and just kind of go over those things with you, answer some of those questions and stuff that I was able to find. And if you guys have any more questions, don't forget, let me know in the comments below. I'll do everything I can to answer those. And while we're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell icon so you know whenever I release another video. And go ahead and like this video. Anyway, let's get to it. So, one of the things that I come across, it's not directly related so much to breeding itself as it is to basically pigs and hogs in general, is how big do they get? Do they ever stop growing? Yes and no. Now, pigs typically between month 9 and month 12 of their life is where they hit their biggest growth spurt. Now, how big they get depends on a varying number of factors. For instance, the breeds. Different breeds, they build differently, they get to different sizes. So that's going to play a little bit of a part into how big your pig or your hog is going to get. The next one is, how are they fed? I have seen hogs, they're the same breed as what we've got here, Hampshire, Yorkshire, Duroc crosses, that are close to 1,000 pounds. Big, big, big hogs. All right? So, typically, though, a hog is going to start slowing down in its growth. It's going to pretty much hit kind of its top end right between 2 and 3 years old. So, next question I found is, well, what age can I breed my pig? There's quite a bit of discussion on that specific question. You can find a bunch of that online, but the rule of thumb that I go with is minimum 6 months age, minimum 300 pounds. Now, having babies is hard on a pig's body, just like it is our bodies. Well, not mine specifically, I lucked out in that category. But for the ladies, we're sorry. We know it's our fault. But anyway, so it's hard on their bodies. So you want to make sure that their bodies are developed enough to be able to handle that. Increased stress of labor and birth, as well as the nursing that comes after. You can't, just start writing it off as soon as those babies are on the ground. You've got to think about while they're nursing. Okay, you need them to be developed enough to where they can be able to produce the milk, especially the colostrum, to get those babies healthy. Okay. After that, the next one I found, what was it? Oh, it was, when does a pig go into heat? Well, I've mentioned that one in previous videos before, and typically they go into heat about every 28 days, and it lasts for 3 days. So, on a new gilt, well, basically on a gilt, or a pig that's what? Never been bred before. There you go. Or never had a litter. You want to get them, if you're doing AI, you want to get them on day 1 and day 2 of their cycle. So you're going to want to watch, and they're going to go into heat a little bit before you go into breed them, and that's fine. But you want to watch when those cycles are occurring. Because, pigs are like clockwork. 28 days, boom, they're in heat. And you want them in what's called standing heat when you go to breed them or AI them. And basically what that is as a sow or a gilt is ready to accept We're not going to go into too much detail here because there are younger eyes and ears on here. But when a sow is ready to accept, you can take your hand and you can press down on basically like the small of her back, and she will brace herself. Okay? When she does that, she's in what's called standing heat, and that's when you want to get her. Okay? Minimum 2 doses, one the one day, one the second day. Now, typically for older sows, you can get them on day 2 and day 3. Their cycle lasts for about 3 days where they're good to breed. After that, got to wait another 28, wait till the cycle comes back around. Now, if you're ordering your bacon juice, I guess you could call it, from somewhere online or from a friend, typically you cannot store it that long. So you really want to make sure that you're on top of it when you're ready to breed them. Okay? Typically, with storing the semen, you've got about 4 to 7 days to get that used. So you want to make sure that you've got it right when they're ready and you get them right away. Okay? Next one I've seen is how long is your gestation period? How long does it take from the time they are bred to the time they give birth? That one's easy. Pigs, like I said, are like clockwork. Their gestation period is 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. Simple. 3, 3, and 3. If you can remember that, you're in good shape. Now, once they're weaned, once they have a litter, which averages about 13 babies. So 1 litter averages about 13 babies. Once they have that and those babies are weaned, they'll cycle back into heat about 3 days later, and you can breed them again at that point. I do not recommend this. I strongly discourage this practice. I am against it because it is way too hard on that sow's body. Yes, they're providing food for us. They're providing something we love, freaking bacon and pork chops, right? But you want to take care of your animals. Happy animals are going to give you better quality meat. It's going to taste better. It may just be me, but I'm a firm believer in our animals not suffering, not being mistreated for any reason, just because in the end of the day, they're going to be in freezer camp. Okay? That's my little plug right there. So 3 days after they wean, they can be bred again. Now, I usually recommend, if you're going to breed a sow or a gilt, no more than twice a year. Twice a year, that's it. Okay? You want to make sure their bodies have time to recover. Otherwise, you're going to breed them so hard like a lot of these corporate plants do. You're going to breed these guys so hard, you're going to end up killing them. They're going to start having some serious issues. Okay? So you want to really make sure you're on top of that. Okay? You want to make sure that all of your animals are healthy. They're happy. It's just, I mean, come on, it's the right thing to do, right? Now, the next one's how many pigs do they have in a litter? Well, this varies. A first-time mother, or a gilt that just had her first litter, now a sow, she can range anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12, okay? On average, though, a sow gives birth to 13 babies, on average. Now, I would not recommend breeding unless you can move that many babies, okay? You don't want to be stuck back with 10 hogs back because you only have 3 friends who want to get a pig, right? That's a wicked big feed bill. Okay, figure if you're at 6, you got 10 hogs back and you can't get them moved and they're at full weight, and you're feeding them the proper amount, 6 pounds a day, that's 60 pounds of feed per day. Okay? Now you're talking $15, $20 a day right there, just in feed. Then you figure how much water they go through. Now, our 2 girls here, they're right around 350, 400. Miss Piggy, 450 to 500. Right now, they're going through about 55 gallons of water every other day, okay? So they are tearing it up. Now, it's starting to get warmer out here. We're probably around 80 degrees right now. It is hotter than a blister. I'm sweating my butt off. But you know what? Hey, I'm out here because they got to have water, okay? They run out this morning. So we got done feeding everything else, getting the garden, everything watered up, getting all that stuff ready to go. Got a cup of coffee, glass of iced tea in me, come back out here because they got to have water, okay? But they were real low this morning. They were out by the time I got out here. They haven't been out very long because the ground's still wet from where they dribble and drool a little bit. So they got watered. Raising a pig is a huge responsibility. Raising a hog is a huge responsibility. Okay? So next up is, at what point do I wean my pigs? They'll pretty much wean themselves. Okay? Usually about 28 days. But typically they'll start to wean themselves. You'll know because they'll start, not nursing as much. They'll start eating some of the other stuff that you feed them, grains, slop, whatever it is. And then you're good to go. Now, another I've seen is, when do a pig's balls drop? It varies. Now, usually they'll drop between 4 and 8 days or so. Now, when we castrate at 14 because we want to make sure that they're both dropped right there so we can get them. Okay. Now, when we castrate, it does not hurt the pigs. They don't even squeal. They squeal more when we pick them up than they do when we castrate them. Okay. It doesn't hurt them. It's quick. It's done and over with. Okay. Get a little antibiotic spray on there, and you're good to go. Okay. So pretty much, that's it with breeding, really. How can you tell females in heat? Well, if she's not in standing heat and you look right on her back end where all her business is, it's going to be a little more swollen. It's going to swell, kind of like it would on a dog. Okay? Once they go into heat, that thing's going to swell. Their temperament's going to change. It's going to be a little more cranky. All right? Sounds kind of familiar to me. Don't tell my wife I said that. But, so you need to be a little more careful. A lot more irritable. They might be a little bit more aggressive with food, with water, with things like that. Okay? So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much it as far as breeding goes. You want to make sure that your babies are kept in careful, climate-controlled environment. Okay? And that it could be heat lamps. Heat pads I don't really recommend because they will lay on them and they can burn themselves. Once you get your farrowing down in Arizona, farrowing pens are illegal, which I am perfectly okay with. I don't like to use them anyway. Don't even agree with them. Now, a farrowing pen is basically a pen that when a sow has a litter of babies, they take and they put her in there. And there's a gate or fence on either side. It's real narrow. She can't turn around. She can stand up. She can lay down. That's all she can do. To me, that ain't right. But when they lay down, their teats will actually be right up against that fence where them babies can get in there and nurse. Now, the reason those actually come about is because a lot of times when a sow goes to lay down, she will lay on the babies. And she'll kill them. Okay? Hogs are not always the most careful things in the world. Okay? And there's things you can do. You can use just a straight fence, put their pens up next to each other. Let mama lay down right there and feed the babies through the fence that way. Make sure she's got room to move around. Don't restrict her movement like that. That's how they get sick. They get diseases that way. It's nasty, okay? It's horrible. They need to be able to move around, okay? Nobody wants to be able to, this is all they do. They stand there like this, and they can lay down, and they get back up. Come on, nobody, would you want to be in that position? I know I sure wouldn't. So I'm okay with, with them things being outlawed in Arizona anyway. But, so you want to make sure that, they can feed through a fence. Now, some friends of ours that breed theirs, quite often actually, they've never really had too many issues with the sow laying on the babies. So, you could try it. You're going to typically you're going to lose a couple out of each litter anyway. I'm not saying that let a baby suffer or anything like that, okay? But you can give it a shot and see what happens. The next thing is when babies are born, they have what's called needle teeth. Now, these needle teeth, they sit right here, up towards the front. Kind of like, think of canines on your dog, right? They're just a little further back. Now, these things are freaking sharp. Now, a lot of breeders, what they'll do is when them babies are born, they'll get in there and with a pair of, they almost look like wire cutters, and they'll nip those teeth, okay? And they do that because a lot of times those needle teeth will tear up a sow's teeth, okay? And you don't want your sow suffering either. Now, again, friends of ours and us, we've never had issues with those needle teeth tearing up mama's teeth, okay? So we don't do it, okay? We leave their needle teeth in. They have, that's it. We don't remove anything other than the twins from the males. Other than that, we don't remove anything. Okay? We let these hogs, they live their life as God intended them to live. Other than, they're penned up here. But that'll be changing here shortly, I'm hoping. But, right now, they're out here. It's hot. They're laying over here in the shade, laying around. I got their water barrel filling up. And you can tell, I'm going to show you here. You can tell that these hogs are not hard up for water, okay? Because I'm watering their water barrel, as you can see. And they're laying right there. They don't even care. Little tidbit. See, they don't care. It's because we keep them with enough water at all times. Okay? We absolutely make sure they have enough water to get them through this heat at all times. Now, the next thing coming up, and this is actually a project I'm probably going to end up recording and doing up on YouTube here. We're actually going to be getting an old bathtub, and we're going to get it in here for their mud hole. Okay? It's hot. They need mud to keep them comfortable because they can't sweat. They can't regulate their body temperatures. Piglets, you want to be a little more careful with that because they are like freaking this big, right? They're little itty bitty things. Now, anyway, sometimes your sow will not give birth when she's supposed to. If after 24 hours she's not giving birth, after when she's due, and she hasn't started dropping piglets yet, you need to get on it and get her and check her out, okay? Now, some friends of ours were telling us when they first started breeding their hogs a number of years ago, they had a sow that they went 48 hours before they did anything because they didn't know better. Well, unfortunately, that whole litter had died. Now, mama didn't eat them or anything like that. She never gave birth to them. They didn't come out. So they had to go up, stick their hand up there into the uterus and pull every one of those little dead babies out. She said, now, my friend, she said that was a horrible thing she had to do. Never wants to have to do it again. So now after 24 hours, if they don't have babies hitting the ground, they're on top of it. And that's the way you need to be. Okay? When you're breeding any animal, it doesn't matter if it's a horse, a pig, a cow, a dog, a cat, it doesn't matter. You have to be the one to make sure that everything's okay, that those animals and those babies are perfectly fine. Okay? That falls on you as the person breeding. Now these animals, they have natural instincts, and they're going to go on those natural instincts. But let's face it, not every female animal in the world is a great mother. Things happen, okay? And that's where you come in. Now, pigs have 2 uteruses. So when she went up in there to get those pigs, or those babies, right? She had to go in and then go to one side to get that uterus cleared out, and then go to the other side to get the other one cleared out. Okay? That's a little weird, right? My hand wouldn't fit. If you're ever in a position where you have to do that, one, either call your vet. Top notch, call your vet, okay? If they cannot get out and you have to do something, okay, get somebody with small hands. These wouldn't work. They're too big, okay? But absolute, whenever you have an issue with a health issue with your animals or anything like that, there's certain things that we do out here that we've learned over time. But at the end of the day, for your animal's happiness and your animal's safety, call your vet. They went to school for that. That's what they do, okay? They're going to know best. And, and if you've got a vet like we've got, a lot of times they can't make it out on a dime. So we can call him up and say, hey, look, if we're in this position or if this happens, what do we do? And he'll tell us exactly what we need to do to get through it if he, for one reason or another, cannot make it. Okay? So work with your vet. If you're going to breed, your vet's not always going to be out there. If you're dropping 40 to 50 litters of pigs a year, your vet's not going to be able to always be there. So work with your vet, get a plan in place, and train your staff. Okay? If you're running a ranch, train your hands if they don't know. Make sure they know what to do if those situations come up. It's critical for the animal's safety, for the animal's health, and for your business. Okay? Losing a litter of pigs, for a lot of us small timers, losing a litter of pigs, that's a huge hit to what we have to live on. Okay? So keep those things in mind, y'all. I appreciate you guys watching. You know, I did a video the other day, actually just a little Q&A, different terms and stuff like that regarding pigs. I'll go ahead and link that up here, probably up here. Go ahead and click that, check that video out. I'd appreciate it. Also, guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this thing to your heart's content, and leave me a comment. Let me know other questions you have, okay? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You guys have a great day.